listener production.
Hello, it is Antoinette Lattouf. This is the Weekend Briefing, where we take a break from the headlines and I get to spend some time with someone fascinating. Actor and now author Zoe Terakes has been breaking ground from the get-go pretty much. The first in their family to pursue a creative career, then scoring a big stage role as a teenager, and later becoming the first trans man to star in a Marvel film. Oh, and there was also that little thing where Zoe appeared in a Netflix series alongside Nicole Kidman and Jennifer McCarthy. In this really open and moving chat, Zoe talks for the first time about being groomed and assaulted as a young actor and how their new book, Eros, Queer Myths for Lovers, is about reclaiming voice, desire and autonomy. Later in the show, a gear shift, Helen Smith, producer extraordinaire, joins me in the studio for the weekend list, and we've got some excellent picks on what to watch, see, eat and do. But first, here's Zoe Terakes. Zoe Terakes, welcome to the Weekend Briefing.
Thank you, Antoinette.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about our chat. It's one of these instances where you feel you know somebody and you've respected and admired and watched them from afar, and we met and we just hugged instantly as though... and I'm not a huggy person.
Are you not?
I'm not a huggy person.
Oh, wow. I was not going to let you not hug me. Sorry about that. Yeah.
I love the warmth and I love that we can operate sort of in an industry and an ecosystem where, you know, you spot an ally or you spot somebody whose work you respect, and that's you for me. So thank you for coming in. I want to wind things back a little bit for our audience. I mean, many people will know you for various roles you played and for your work or for your advocacy, but perhaps they don't know too much about your family or about your upbringing or about your entry into acting. So tell me about your family, because I can see that you're wearing a evil eye around your neck.
Yes.
All over Instagram is your recent trip to Greece. So you obviously have a connection to Greece. Yeah. But your family's been in Australia for quite a long time.
Yeah, they have. So my great-grandfather migrated here from Crete and met my great-grandmother on the boat. She was born in Port Said, but is Cretan. And Crete was still Turkey when they left.
Ottoman Empire?
Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, right.
So it's like Ottomans, Venetians, Greeks, Ottomans.
Yes.
Now back to the Greeks. It was independent actually, and then now back to the Greeks. But, you know, our DNA is a big jumble of Greek and Turkish and Arab and Italian. You know, it's just kind of Crete's a pretty big melting pot. Anyway, and then, they migrated here and sort of set up shop in Lismore, opened a fruit shop.
Of course they did.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
And my grandfather was one of, I think, 6 or 7, and he was the smartest. So they sent him down to Sydney to be a bookie at the races.
Okay.
He wanted to be an architect, but going to university was obviously just not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then his life sort of started here, and, you know, he was riddled with polio. Like, you know, it was a real kind of... It was a rough life, I think, but he had 3 boys. One of them was my dad, and my dad was the first in the family to get a degree.
Yeah,
you know, which
that's
was framed
huge.
in their house, and then that sort of dad meets mum. That's where I come in. Yeah,
amazing. And were you always drawn to the arts as a child, or what was your household like? Was it something that was fostered, or was it just something that you had in you, irrespective of what environment you were going to be in?
Oh, I reckon I definitely had a niche childhood. I think it just didn't occur to my parents I'm an only child, and it just didn't occur to them to like filter anything. Yeah. So I was watching sort of Rocky Horror at about 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Chicago at 7. Mum shows, you know, I don't know. I just like everything was kind of came in hard pretty early on, and my parents have amazing taste, I believe. Yeah. Like my dad, for a big old wog, has the campest taste you've ever seen.
Okay.
So there's just a lot of like...
What did your dad end up studying? You said he was the first to go to university.
He went into advertising.
Okay, nice.
And now he just loves cooking. He's written some cookbooks.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, he's a big foodie. And my mum was a PR for ages.
Okay.
And she's amazing. But yeah, so I think definitely art was around the house. Like it was something that was talked about, and so I don't think it came from nowhere.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my parents don't take credit for any of it.
Okay.
But I give them credit for it, you know.
So you just joined drama class and then you were like, I like this and I want to do this?
Yeah, which my parents thought was hilarious.
Yeah. Why did they think it was
they were
hilarious?
like, fat fucking chance. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I love
be
that.
for
They were
real.
like, best of luck, enjoy it, babes.
Good luck. Don't call when you need money.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so I started drama, and how I got into it as a teenager was actually kind of fraught. This acting teacher came to my school and kind of plucked me out and was like, you should come do classes with me. And
you were kind of like scouted or chosen.
He ended up being a spooky guy, unfortunately.
Okay.
He was a lot older than me and
they're
creepy, unfortunately. And I was 16, so it was all really gross. But through him, once I got over that trauma,
By spooky as in, was he grooming you? Was he ever inappropriate?
I was groomed. Yeah, which sucked. I've never spoken about that publicly. But yeah, it was really shit. It was awful. It was an awful way to enter an industry. But I learned very quickly the things that I thought were points of connection, or the things that older men do in this industry that feel like,
God, you had your Me Too moment before Me Too was a thing, before you realised.
2 years before, babes.
Before even you understood what grooming meant.
Yeah, absolutely. It took me years and years and years. Yeah. And it was this terrible time where this had happened to me and there was no language for it for about 2 years. And then suddenly there was so much language for it. And so the people that I'd reached out to, the powers that be, you know, 2 years before when I needed them, were like, oh, sorry, we don't really know what to do about that. Right. And then 2 years later are going.
So you did raise the alarm at the time?
Tried to, yeah.
Did anything happen?
Mm-mm.
Did it tell your family? Or?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, you know, don't ask my dad what he'd like to do to him. Yeah, so it was pretty shitty. But it kind of, you know, I do still believe that fucked things lead you ultimately sometimes where you're meant to be. And I learned very quickly what to stay the fuck away from in this industry and what types of men to avoid like the plague. And I'm very glad I learned that so young.
Yeah.
And ultimately it led me to the right people and the right agent and the right job. And so
did that ultimately land you on your first big acting gig? Because I understand while you were completing your HSC, which is, you know, VCE in Victoria, or your final year of school, you appeared on stage in A View from the Bridge.
Yes. So that's how that happened.
Oh, that's kind of that's a fucked origin story.
It's a fucked origin story. I was on set because I was doing a TV job. My first ever job was a TV job, and I was on set, and the first time I told anybody about what happened with this guy. Beyond
grooming, and only share what you're comfortable, did he ever violate any of your, you know, your space or your safety? Or
yeah, he invaded my space. But I'm like careful what to say, you know.
No, that's okay.
You know, defamation laws in this country are, don't you know it?
I know, often protect perpetrators and not victims.
Yeah, so I'll be careful what I say there, but it was very bad.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, it sucked. But I was on set, and the first time I spoke about it properly, I was in the trailer with another older female actress, and I just burst into tears, and she was like, well, what is going on? And I told her what had happened and that I needed to get out but didn't really know how. And she really kind of swooped in and big sort of mother henned the situation.
That's great.
And then she said, have you read A View from the Bridge? And I was like, no. And I was like, they're putting it on. I really want to audition for it. And then I read it, and it is the story of a 16-year-old girl with a really complex relationship with an older man, and that ultimately ends up being really abusive. Anyway, so then I auditioned for it and I got it.
Art imitating life, life imitating art.
But it ended up being a really big means of processing what had happened as well, you know. Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah, so that's the honest introduction.
Yeah, that is an honest introduction.
Yeah.
Okay. So from then, I understand you came out to your family a couple of times. Where were you in your journey and in your identity at that stage?
At that stage?
Because for that gig, you were playing a 16-year-old girl,
yes.
correct? Yes.
And I was, as far as I knew, a 17-year-old girl.
Yes.
I was gay. I'd come out as gay to my family at like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
And at around 15, there was a kind of a siren going off in my body that I just either chose to ignore or couldn't really hear properly. Just where I knew something was not right, but I didn't have the language. And so I just locked it in a box as far away as humanly possible. And then, so when I was 17, I just was like, I'm just a lesbian, I think. And then it wasn't really until I was 18 that the penny dropped. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what I've been feeling this whole time.
And then, a huge role for you, the television series Wentworth, in which you played Reb. And Reb was a trans man jailed for robbery that was to fund top surgery. And in another kind of art imitating life imitating art, about a year later, you had top surgery.
Yes. Yeah. It was about 2 years later. 2 years after.
And can you explain, I guess, for some people who don't understand what top surgery is?
Yes, top surgery, there's lots of different ways that the procedure can go, I guess, but it's basically a double mastectomy.
Yeah.
Where you get your titties chopped off in varying capacities.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. And so you can get it with nipples, without nipples. There's 1,000 different ways you can do it.
Yeah. And that's essentially a form of gender-affirming surgery.
Gender-affirming care,
Yeah.
That not all trans masks or non-binary people or trans men will undergo, but some.
Sure. Okay. And then, there was another, because you've had quite a few big moments. There was Marvel in 2022. You joined the cast of Marvel Project Ironheart.
Yes.
Just kind of timeline, because I saw all of these and I watched all of these. Was this before or after the 9 Perfect Strangers with Nicole Kidman?
Ironheart was after that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was about 9 Perfect Strangers was 2020.
Okay.
And Ironheart was 2022.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, for those who don't know, 9 Perfect Strangers, it's the film adaptation of Leanne Moriarty. It was on Netflix. Was that your first kind of foray into an international audience?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. And also just working with Americans. It was such a different bag.
Yeah,
it was
that
awesome.
like?
Oh, I loved it. I love those guys. I mean, some Americans are annoying, but not those ones. They were just used to it, I think, in a way. And I think in Australia...
You're used to what?
How a set runs. I don't know.
Right.
Like they're just
like a more well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and and maybe they just also it's interesting watching what artists do when they're not afraid of their next paycheck, I guess. Because in Australia, like our industry's so small that really for the most part, if you're a working actor in Australia, you do still have a feeling on set that you will never work again.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and so everybody's kind of maybe overly nice or has to be kind of everybody's best friend or whatever. Yeah. And it was just, not that these Americans were rude at all, but they were just kind of like, just the freedom with which they could dedicate time to what they needed to do. Without having to worry about if they were ever going to work again. You go, wow, I wonder what that does to you as an artist, with living without that fear.
And what was Melissa McCartney like?
She was amazing. She's the best. We're still very good friends.
I just think she's hilarious.
She is so wonderful. Every time I'm in America, we catch up. She's just kind of everything you think she is and more. She's just got this enormous heart and is hilarious and so giving and so curious as well. Like she's one of those people who stays really porous to the world.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And were you in that, I mean, I did watch it, but I can't recall exactly whether you were a non-binary character or a trans character or just a character.
I was just a character. Honestly, it was such a small role that, I don't think they necessarily had a massive backstory.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting because the brief went out as like, young, sexy female yoga instructor. And I looked at it and I was like, girl, how the hell is this going to happen?
Yeah. All right. So when your agent presents this to you, they're
I was like, get a grip.
Because the setting, for those who haven't seen it or read the book, it's like this wellness retreat, like very kind of extra wellness retreat environment. And so your agent presents this to you and you're like, bitch, what are you smoking?
I said, no way.
Yeah.
And my friend Andrea Dimitriades, who's a wonderful actor, she was like, come on, babes, come over. We'll just do it. We'll do the tape. You never know. And I was like, okay. I was so sad. I'd wrapped Wentworth that day. Oh, right. Sad day. So I go there. My eyes are like cracks in my face because I've been crying so much after finishing Wentworth.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's do this. Anyway, we do it. I'm like, I'm not going to try be your sexy cunty female yoga instructor. And so I was like, I'm just going to do this like, you know, those like really earthy guys.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to play it like that. And if they want it, they can have it. If they don't, no dramas. And then they wanted it. I was like, okay. And that's sort of been the story of my career, I guess, is going, this is not what you've briefed and I can't do what you've briefed.
Right.
So I'm just going to do this how I want to do it and how I think is a fun, weird, interesting interpretation of this character. And if you like it, great. If you don't, no dramas.
Yeah.
Think of me next time.
And it's clearly working for you. Was that the similar thing with Marvel? Like,
Marvel?
Did you have to do like some karate chop cartwheels? like you can't just be like earthy standoffish for a Marvel character.
No, you can't. No, Marvel was interesting. I actually auditioned for Shea Coulee's role.
Okay.
The hacker, which was the trans role. That was how it was briefed. And my general American accent is kind of average.
Yeah,
but
like Rose Byrne's.
She'd hate that.
But she slips in and out all the time. She's a fantastic actress, but she slips in and out all the time.
Mine, I would say, is significantly worse than Rose Byrne's because I just can't do it without sounding like a valley girl.
Yeah.
But my Southern and my Brooklyn, sublime.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. So I tend to, when it's like natural American accent, I go, okay, I'm just going to tip it to one side a little bit.
Okay.
And so I put down the Marvel tape with a Southern accent, and it's one of those ones where you just send it off and you're like, see you never, as if. Do you know what I mean? Like, I will never hear from these people. And then I got a call back and I was like, beg your pardon? Yeah, did the call back. And in the call back, when I started talking in an Australian accent, they were like, what? And I was like, I'm not from Texas.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, better. Can you do it in an Australian accent?
Oh, that's so great.
Well, which made me sad because I really wanted to do a Southern accent because it's such a cool accent. Anyway, and then, it happened and they ended up rewriting one of the roles to be trans so that I could play that role, and then Shea could also play the hacker.
Your family, obviously, at this point must be incredibly proud. Probably proud earlier on, but for your grandparents, were they more proud when you got the Marvel role or when the Greek Herald did a big write-up on you?
Listen, you know what's very sad is I have no grandparents left, and I haven't for a very long time, which is a pain in the ass.
Because they haven't been able to see the Greek Herald article.
They haven't been able to. That's the main reason I'm sad they're dead. Is they have not been able to see the Greek Herald article about me. Yeah, I'm sure my pa, he knows. Oh. He knows up there. But yeah, that was hilarious. I had so many wogs in my DMs being like, oi, this is a huge deal. And I was like, it is.
Now you've made it.
Now you've made it. Before, forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Marvel role obviously opens you up to a much larger audience. It opens you up to Marvel fanatics. It also opens you up to people who probably are otherwise not used to trans actors or trans roles. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you navigating any of the commentary or the critique? Or the assholes. Sorry, I'm just trying to be really nice about it.
Listen, call them what they are.
Yeah.
It was like, to be honest, it was worse than I expected.
Oh.
I don't know what I expected because I'd copped shit before, obviously, kind of for any job. There's always people being like, fuck off, tranny. But it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Like, people were really angry. They were so angry. I think it's like these white boys, these, incel white boys when you're doing stuff over here, like you're doing, you know, Wentworth, or you're doing shows that don't encroach on their space or what they claim to be theirs, it's like they don't like it, but they can cope. But suddenly when there's black people, brown people, trans people in what they have claimed as their domain, they cannot handle it. It makes them very upset. They just don't cope. And I don't think I realized, maybe naively, how violent their not coping came out as. Like I got a DM from the Angel of Death.
Oh, sweet.
Which was awesome, saying, and it was weird. I got a message from them when it was announced that I was attached, saying, if you proceed to do this job, we will find out where you live. We will make your life living hell. And I was like, whatever, queen, block. Yeah. And then I got another one when the show came out saying, the Angel of Death returns. We are going to ruin your career. We're going to lynch you. Like, just like pretty violent stuff. And I was like, fuck, dude, you guys really...
You're really upset.
You're so upset.
Yeah.
And I mean, that one was rough. The other stuff I find funny because I'm literally just like, oh my God, you hate people of colour and trans people so much that this is how you spend your time. So usually I find it quite funny. But that one I was like, that's spooky, babe.
Yeah, okay.
That's spooky.
And are you putting in mechanisms or things to like look after yourself, like your physical safety, but also I've seen lots of interviews you've given and they're great, but you share a lot of your identity. Yeah. I mean, gosh, I'm doing the same thing in this interview, but I did check in with you before we started to say, what do you want to talk about? Is there something you don't want to talk about? Because there is something, you know, you, as a person of colour and as a trans person, constantly having to justify or be a spokesperson or be a trailblazer or be the first can be really burdensome. So I'm keen to know what you're doing to look after yourself.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And I mean, I'm sure you are also just trying to do the same because it's crazy having your shit aired consensually or non-consensually, you know. That's a really rough gig that people sometimes ask for and sometimes don't. It's interesting, like I share a lot on certain topics and then there's stuff that I absolutely keep for home. Like I am, even though it probably doesn't seem like it based on the interviews I give, a deeply private person. Okay. And stuff about like the intricacies of my beautiful family and my partner and even my friends, I just really
I did a pretty hectic social media stalk and I couldn't find too much about.
Good luck, Queenie. Yeah, you ain't gonna. I really value my privacy there. And I think it's, you know, I'm sure you can relate. Like, well, you know, for me being so young and already in...
Because you're 25, right?
I'm 25, yeah. But having to transition in the public eye at like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, you know, over the years is like you don't really have a choice in that because your job is to be visible, your job is to be on screens and you're also transitioning. So whether you talk about it or not, that is a visible thing. And so I think I've just come to really value having a say in what I make visible and what is mine to keep.
Something else I wanted to ask is how you feel your sort of interactions or safety or sense of security may or may not shift when the trans identity or the trans community is targeted politically, when it becomes a headline, when it becomes the hot topic, or even around Charlie Kirk's assassination. There was some kind of conservative line that happened to like some flatmate or something. And I was just like, what? Like not like gun laws, or it was just like trans.
Literally.
Someone, flatmate, person.
They would
maybe.
Do anything.
Yeah.
They would do anything. It's like literally it was giving like he saw a trans person on the street once and that's what made him do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they would have found anything. And I mean, totally. It does certainly, if nothing else, heighten your awareness. I think, you know, I am obviously a very privileged trans person in that I am not a trans woman. I'm not a black trans woman. I live in so-called Australia. You know, those are all things that give me a lot more safety than most folks. And, you know, even on this continent, like, sister girls, like our First Nation sisters, trans sisters, we are losing sisters at a rate that is so much faster than any other type of trans person. And so I think that is what immediately needs to be addressed and what needs to be prioritized, because those are the family that we lose first. But in terms of feeling the change, I certainly felt it for sure. Like 2023, when I got back from America after filming Ironheart, and I came back, I moved into this beautiful trans share house in Summerhill, which just was a life-changing experience. But it was when what was her name? Posey Parker.
The
fucking nutcase, that turf lady
who came in from the US,
who came from the UK with the bad hair.
Yes, sorry.
And the neo-Nazis on the street, and suddenly I just was like, oh, okay, all this J.K. Rowling stuff that's been cooking over there, it's cooking here too now. And I think that's when I really felt like a bit of a level up in trans lives being under attack. For me, something I really noticed, I mean, it was hard to tell as well because I had top surgery about 2 months before old mate came over from the UK. And so it was very confusing. It was very hard to tell whether I was being stared at more because I was more visibly trans, or I was being stared at more because there was a change in people's ideology. It was but I definitely felt eyes on me more than I ever have, and people saying stuff. And I mean, fortunately, it's never got to a physically violent place before. But I remember one moment that just made me very sad because I love children so much. I was in like the Blue Mountains or some shit, and there was one of those antique shops where there's a really narrow corridor, and there was a mum, her husband, and a little girl, and I was kind of just in this narrow corridor, and the little girl looked at me and I kind of smiled and waved, and then she smiled and waved back, and then I just freaked out. Like I was like, oh no, the parents are going to think I'm like trying to fucking steal their kid or like molest their kid. Or groom their kid. Like I freaked out and I just left. And that made me very sad because I was like, it's working. Like that propaganda that trans people are a threat to women and children.
It's working on you for
a moment. It's working on me.
Yeah.
And that's devastating. Like if it's working on me, a trans person with almost exclusively trans friends, of course it's working on people who have never met a trans person before. So that really broke my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you've poured your heart into is this beautiful book I have here.
Yes.
It's called Eros, which means like passion and love, not to be confused with gyros.
No.
The Greek version of a Lebanese kebab.
Yeah, that's right. Don't confuse it. Both good.
Both are delicious.
Both wonderful.
Yeah, both you should have in your life.
Yeah, different ways.
Different ways. Tell me the genesis of this book. It's Queer Myths for Lovers.
Yes. The genesis of this book came about in 2023, actually, and Benjamin Law reached out and was like...
So for those who don't know, Benjamin Law is, I think according to his bio, like your favourite homosexual
local
uncle.
Homosexual, yeah.
He's a writer and a comedian and a TV show maker and a commentator and just a...
wonderful person.
Yes.
Yes. Ben reached out and was like, do you reckon you have a book in you? And I was like, is that a sex joke? And he was like, no, would you write one? And at first I thought he meant about me, to which I was like, take a hike, no way.
Yeah.
Just because I was like 23 at the time. I was like, what the fuck am I going to write a book about myself?
Yeah.
And then he said...
I am deeply cynical of people who write memoirs at 23.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
bro,
fuck off and die, basically. Like, get over yourself. And so I said, no way. And then he said, no, it doesn't have to be about you. And I was like, oh, okay, well, now I'm interested. And kind of went away and thought about it and then got obsessed and couldn't stop thinking about it and came back to Ben with this pitch and he took it to my publisher and it was on from there.
So it's essentially like a modern take on ancient Greek myths that embrace kind of the history and the endurance of queer love and Is that my read?
Yeah, true story.
And you say that queer and trans love has always existed, but our stories have been passed down to us by the hands of men who slowly but surely twisted our passion into friendship or lust, into hate, our fluidity into binary.
True story. Yeah. And so all the myths in there are myths that were in Ovid's Metamorphoses and were queer, but just were told in a way that was pretty damning of that queerness.
Yeah. And how much of this leans on Greek mythology?
Well, it's interesting. Almost all of it is Cretan mythology, which is different.
Is it different?
Well, to an extent, like only when you're full nerd like me, probably to the naked eye, not so much.
So Crete is an island in now Greece.
Yes, now Greece. It's the most southern island. So it's the top half backs onto the Aegean and the southern half is on the Libyan Sea. So its neighbouring countries are Greece, Italy, Libya, Egypt, Turkey. It's the oldest civilization in now Greece. And it traded with Egypt, southern Italy, Syria, and Palestine, and Turkey. So it's culturally quite different to the mainland, and its mythology reflects that in that a lot of the gods that came to Crete were Egyptian. So the first story takes place on Crete. True myth. And the goddess Isis comes to visit this boy, as told in Ovid's Metamorphoses. So, yeah, it's slightly different. You get a slightly different host of gods and the architecture is less European, the food's less European. It's quite specific.
Beautiful. And who is the book for? Who do you think would enjoy it?
I mean, I wrote it for queers, that's for sure, but there's so much sex in it, like I think everybody will get their kicks in it somehow, to be honest. I don't know. They're just love stories, and that's what I like about them. They're love stories. They're for everybody. I definitely didn't cater. I tried really hard to keep a cis person's voice out of my head going, I don't understand that. I was like, no, I'm not going to try and write to teach you anything because I'm not writing
That's a different sort of labour.
It's a different sort of labour, and it's like I don't want to have to. The people I'm writing for already know what these things mean, and you'll catch on, you know? I'm not trying to pander to anybody's learning, I guess.
Earlier you mentioned that there's something specific about Australian actors is that they're always feeling that they don't know if they're going to get another job or what their next gig is. Yeah. You've so far had a very successful, 17 to now 25, bypassing the memoir. What's next? Or are you currently in that flux of I don't know what the hell's going to come, if anything?
I am. Yeah, I am. I mean, it's hard times out there at the moment, like, with America being America. And Australia sort of always parroting America's industry. It's a little daunting, but I have, to be honest, my heart is in writing right now. Okay. I'll always act for sure, but definitely have found a world that I'm really interested in living in for a little bit. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm adapting one of the stories in that book into a play.
Yeah.
The last story, Hermaphroditus, and I'm having a sick time doing that. And so just kind of staying in writing land for now.
Amazing. Well, it has been such a pleasure hanging out.
You too. I've had the best time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Antoinette.
Zoe Terakes' book, Eros, Queer Myths for Lovers, is available now. It is now my favourite time of the week, and I hope it is yours too. It's because I get to sit down with Helen Smith. We swap notes, try not to judge each other in terms how's that going for us, Helen, not judging each other with what we see, watch, eat, and do? I have a feeling that I'm going to recommend something today and you're going to be like, Antoinette, that's 4 years old. But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, but what do you have?
Now, it's not groundbreaking, but when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, that's such an easy, smart idea. Pesto lasagna.
Pesto lasagna? I like pesto pasta.
Yeah, but it's pesto lasagna. Okay. So you have your normal lasagna, right? Mm-hmm. But instead of doing the normal red sauce, you can do a creamy pesto sauce. You can either do the green basil pesto or the red sun-dried tomato pesto. Mm-hmm. But it's like creamy. With chicken? Yeah, anything. So you can do veggie lasagna, the chicken lasagna, normal beef lasagna, which I'd probably do with the red pesto, the beef one, or the chicken or veggie. green pesto, like the basil pesto, but pesto lasagna just to spice it up a bit, and it looks amazing.
Do you still do the layers of cheese and everything as well?
Yeah, still do the normal layers of cheese, still do the normal pasta or layers, or you can always do eggplant lasagna. So what I like to do in my pasta is I'll put the pasta sheet, then I'll do the next layer. Instead of pasta, I put eggplant thinly sliced because it kind of breaks it up, and it also makes it a bit more moist when you meal prep it.
Yeah.
But then for the sauce, instead of just doing the normal red tomato sauce throughout in the layer, you do a pesto sauce instead.
Yeah, but what goes in the pesto sauce, and how do you make it like kind of watery or creamy? Do you add?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, because I'm like,
just
tip the jar of pesto.
Yeah, no. Oh, yeah, great question.
I mean, or freshly grind your pesto for anybody who is.
Well, I make my own pesto
there
generally.
You are. Okay.
So, but it's easier to just get it in the can generally. But what you can do, instead of putting, the ricotta cheese layer that you put in lasagna?
Yeah.
Add the pesto to that. Or you can make creamy pesto sauce. You put Greek yogurt, you put the pesto, and then you can put Parmesan cheese and kind of blend it up. And that creates another layer of creaminess. So that's either put it with the ricotta cheese, just put the red or the green pesto with that, or make your own Greek yogurt another layer on top.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And we can pop something in the show notes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love that. That's a great idea. Okay. So my first recommendation is a product from Lush. Okay. And you may know Lush. It's the bath bomb, the store that you walk past and it smells like a lot of things.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And I have never used any of I've gifted and bought bath bombs, but I've never used any of their face creams or serums. And to be honest, I got given this as a sample when I went. I was like inquisitively looking because the way they present all of their face masks, they actually look like fruit bowls or whatever because they are all made from fruit. So when I went there, it looked like a dessert bar, which is why I was so confused. I was just kind of staring going, what is this? And can I eat it? And the shop assistant came up and was like, well, no, it's actually like we make them to look like a dessert bar because everything either has. So the one I got given, because it looks like chocolate.
Yeah.
It's called Glen Coco. And it is 100% like it's.
Do you know what the play on the name of that is?
Glen Coco. No.
Glen Coco from Mean Girls, I think.
You know what? That is the second Mean Girls reference that I haven't gotten. And
really?
Somebody, to the point that somebody has.
You go Glen Coco.
Yeah, and somebody has messaged me on my Instagram and said, Antoinette, you need to watch Mean Girls. I'm sorry to break this to you, but you need to watch Mean Girls. Haven't watched Mean Girls, so I do not know.
So you're Glen Coco.
Okay, well, that's what it is, Glen Coco. So it's got cocoa, almond, clay, a flour called ylang, right? So it's literally those with a bit of oils. It's 100% natural. It's cold. You have to refrigerate it. It is so hydrating and you want to eat it. Like when you put it on your face, it smells so nice you want to eat it. And honestly, the woman in the shop just saw me looking at it like I wanted to eat it. And then she was like, do you want to try this? Refrigerate? I was like, what does it do? She's like, it's hydrating. I was like, you know what? I'll give it a crack. And it's really good. I will say caveat, I went on to have a look at other people's reviews because I was like, I just found it really hydrating and I'm going to use it again. A few people said that it tingled their skin. So if you have sensitive skin, their skin was a bit itchy for 2 minutes.
Yeah, right.
And if they persevered, it was fine. I don't suggest you persevere. You know yourself.
Yeah.
I generally don't have sensitive skin.
Yeah.
So I can usually use products. But the truth of the matter is it is 100% natural and it's refrigerated. It only comes in small portions. Because it is natural, it can only last for a certain amount of time. So I thought, what a great gift.
That is good.
But then she did say, if you're going to gift it, you have to think about keeping it cold. Like if you're going to gift it for Christmas or whatever, it can't be room temperature. It has to stay cold.
Oh, so you got to put it in an ice bag or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But honestly, try it. Glen Coco from Lush, a hydrating mask that you kind of want to eat.
I like that. I do like that. I do really like Lush too. All right. Now, my next recommendation is, have you seen Ugly Betty? The series?
Yes.
Love Ugly Betty. Looking back on it, the name is not great.
No.
What the heck?
Yeah.
But it's from 2006, so it's if you haven't watched it, Ugly Betty, it's a series, 4 seasons. It's on Netflix still at the moment. It's about Betty. It's about Betty.
With braces and glasses.
And she's not ugly.
She's not ugly at all.
She's not ugly at all.
She went on to star in Barbie.
Yes. She's American Ferrera. So massive actress.
So you're recommending this series?
So I'm recommending a podcast about the series with 2 of the actors that were in it that played Hilda and Justin.
Okay.
Right? So the 2 actors who played Hilda and Justin, Anna and Mark, they watch this series together and break down the episodes and kind of take you behind the scenes. So if you're a big fan of Ugly Betty, it's really, really fun.
So 20 years on, so almost 20 years on.
Yes.
Was it that big a hit?
Massive.
Massive. If I can remember.
In 2007, the year after it premiered or whatever, it was nominated for 6 Emmys. It won 2 of them. It continued to get nominated for Emmys, awards, you name it. But the episode that I'm recommending is the interview that they did with American Ferrera. So it's so good because it kind of brings them all together. It takes you back in time to them being a cast because this was all of them. It was pretty much one of their big series, the big break. And for a series to be framed around like a Latin family and Spanish speaking, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing.
Which is wild. But
it's wild, but it kind of just broke the mold. It made it really mainstream and was just like, yeah, this is normal. Like, this is what comedy can be. And it was just so amazing. But Viva Betty, it's a podcast. It's so much fun. It takes you back. It makes you want to rewatch it. And yeah, so for Ugly Betty fans, Viva Betty, you can find it pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. And it's just a little bit of fun and I really like it. And they're all so sweet. And I just think it's great.
Okay, I love that. Glowing recommendation. Yeah. Okay, so this one, have you heard of Fleabag?
Yeah.
Oh, look at the way you're looking at me.
What have you not?
This is okay. So I was in Ubud for the Ubud Writers Festival.
Yeah.
Amazing. Do recommend it. I was invited as a guest, so very, very lucky. And I was sitting in my hotel, and Netflix wasn't working. All the other streamers weren't working. I was like, what can I watch? And then I went on to Prime. I didn't know they must curate their own stuff, so I couldn't literally find anything to watch. I came across Fleabag, and I was like, I'm going to give this a try. Never heard of it. I don't know how I'd never heard of it. Came out in 2016. You're just shaking your head at me. I didn't say this was meant to be a place without judgment. But here we go. I can't believe I didn't know about it and how good it is, which also made me think maybe other people also don't know how good it is.
Yeah, I'm sure
maybe
other some people don't.
Because usually when you go on to a streaming, like what's new, what's in the zeitgeist, what are people talking about, there is so much content put out that you could easily miss this. So for those of you who aren't 5 to 9 years behind the trends like I am all the time, Fleabag is written and stars a British woman called Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and it's actually an adaptation of a stage show. Did you know that? It's an adaptation. You knew that too. Okay, I'm going to not tell you anything you don't know.
I like this recommendation.
Yeah, and it's really dry-witted. It's kind of strange because you see scenes. It's this woman in London trying to manage her relationships and her mourning her mother's passing and her best friend's passing, but she breaks, I guess, what do you call it when you address the camera?
She essentially break the fourth wall.
Yeah, she breaks the fourth wall. And so sometimes even during a sex scene or the most inappropriate times. The acting is hilarious.
It's good.
It's very dry-witted. But what I really enjoyed was I really hated her for the first few episodes. I'm like, what a deplorable woman.
Yeah.
This woman is horrible.
Yeah.
But as you go along and if you stick with it, I stuck with it because of the humour. You actually come to understand the layers of her mourning, her loss, her character flaws, her family's character flaws. It is so freaking good and so clever. And I think it's actually like quite believable, even though it's really horrible.
No, but I think that's why I also like it because of the unlikability at the start, because that's so human and normal. Like, of course, everyone reacts differently to different situations. And yeah, it's funny. The comedy is so good.
So funny.
But then the themes of it are quite deep and quite hard-hitting sometimes. So I love that. Like, it's so good.
And I know this sounds really strange, but what I often enjoy, and I notice it more in British television or cinema, is that it can be a bit less glamorous. And by glamorous, I mean the storyline. She's an attractive woman. She's not conventionally beautiful. Like, the stories are gritty.
It's just not glorified. It's not kind of Hollywood.
Yeah, the people aren't perfect. The storylines aren't perfect. Yeah. And I'm like, I actually feel as an Aussie, I relate to that more than the kind of like all-American whatever. Like, I don't know. The Brits do that a bit better.
Their acting and then generally things that are made in the UK, they come from a more like, traditional acting, or I'm saying in quotes, like theatre acting or Shakespearean. Like, their classical acting and their training is very different to Hollywood.
So
I feel like that trickles its way all the way up to series.
Definitely the case for Phoebe because, as we said, it was a stage show.
100%.
And you can tell that she's trained that way.
Yeah,
anyway,
you can.
So if you haven't watched Fleabag, I recommend it.
That is good.
And I task you with something for next week to find me something that is probably 9 years old.
Okay.
that I should get into.
All right. I'm sure I can do it.
Okay, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. It is always a pleasure hanging out with you. I also love to hear your feedback. Maybe you have a tip for us for the weekend list. Maybe you can save me discovering something in 9 years' time and tell me what it is that you're watching, eating, reading or doing. But that is it from us. And the team will be back in your headphones on Monday with the news, all the headlines and a fascinating deep dive. Take care of one another.